Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Hello and welcome to the Skeptic Zone, episode number 275 for the 25th of January 2013. Richard Saunders here with you from Sydney, Australia, where we've had a bit of a rain in the last week. It's still quite warm and humid though. I start to dream of such wonderful places as Winnipeg. Hello to my Canadian listeners. Coming up on this week's show, we have a guest reporter. Andrew Gould from Canberra is going to be speaking to an old mate of mine, Jeff Wagg. Now, I first met Jeff on the amazing cruise in 2007, where we were shipmates, as it were, on a cruise up to Alaska with James Randi. Jeff's going to be talking about cruising and cruising possibilities, and maybe even cruising possibilities in Australia, and the College of Curiosity. That's coming up at the top of the show with guest reporter Andrew Gould. Following that, it's a week in science from the Royal Institution of Australia, www.riaus.org.au. And then a surprise, Penny Chan, a penny for your thoughts. Well, sort of. Penny is visiting Australia at the moment. She spent a few days in Sydney, and I was lucky enough to catch up with her, well, for a quick catch-up. A quick catch-up with Penny Chan's Penny for Your Thoughts. And to round off the show, an extended think tank. Yes, haven't had one for a while. A think tank with Dr Rachie Dunlop, Joanne Benhamu, Marcus Benhamu, Stefan Sojka, Steve Roberts, and myself. The think tank where we discuss such things as chiropractic. Ooh, always fun. Hello, Fred. Oh, Fred the cat's walked into the room. You want to say hello to the listeners, Fred? Come on. Come on, Fred. Yes, he's very worried. He hasn't had his breakfast yet. Well, while I run downstairs and give Fred some nice, fresh cat food. Yes, you want some? Cat food and some water and some kibbles. How about that? Yes, he's sniffing the microphone while I do that. I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone.
Okay, so I've got Jeff Wagg on the line all the way from North America. Are you in Chicago at the moment, Jeff?
I am in very snowy Chicago. It is coming down here. It's kind of pretty.
It's really, really hot down here. We've had a massive heat wave, so all the best to you. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. It is 19 degrees Fahrenheit up here. I'll let you Celsius folks.
What's that in the real terms? That's like minus
negative
something.
10 or something like that.
Yeah. So we've got you on the line here to talk about the College of Curiosity. So,
yes. Tell
us what the College of Curiosity is.
The College of Curiosity is this project I've started. To go back a little bit, folks may remember my name from skepticism. I was involved with the James Randi Educational Foundation for many years. I've spoken at DragonCon, SkepTrack, and a whole bunch of skeptic camps and things like that. And I had an interesting experience. I went to a paranormal convention called UnivCon, which was associated with the TV show Paranormal State many years ago. I think, thankfully, people have forgotten about this show by and large. But it was at a university, and it seemed like it was a sponsored thing from the school. It probably really wasn't. But anyway, they put on this convention, and I went as a skeptic. And I saw all kinds of woo-woo things and things I disagreed with and things that frankly made me cringe. But afterwards I decided to spend time with the people there, and I talked with them, and I found out an interesting thing is that we had a lot in common. They all call themselves skeptics, for one thing, which I thought was fascinating. They believed in Bigfoot, and they believed that extraterrestrials were visiting the planet. They believe in ghosts. But they were skeptics. So I asked them, why am I a skeptic for not believing in these things, and you are a skeptic for believing in them? And they said it's because they had seen enough evidence to believe. I was like, okay. But then I noted there was another there was something actually in common, something real that was in common, and that was we had curiosity. We were actually curious about things. We wanted to know what was going on. Now, we had completely different methods about doing it. And so I was excited about this. I was like, hey, here is a way to reach out to the other side and find some common ground, and maybe we can work together on some things. Now, this was many years ago, and I've since realized that I was being a bit naive in this, and that it's actually the skeptics who are the curious ones. The others who are curious without skepticism are actually looking for something to believe in and can get satisfied with that belief. Whereas a skeptic is never satisfied. And that's actually what curiosity is. You're never satisfied. You always want to know more, and you always want to know what's true and what's real.
Yeah, that's how I've always defined skepticism as well, is like a search for what's actually true.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people who believe in things that just aren't true, and I've never really quite understood how they can come to the conclusion that it is true when it's kind of not. So you use the tools of skepticism to sort out the really true from the only apparently true.
Absolutely. And that is true curiosity. That is really wanting to know. Someone might think they're curious. Oh, I'm curious about Bigfoot. Wouldn't it be cool if Bigfoot was roaming the woods of the American Northwest? Wouldn't that be cool? They get that sense of awe and wonder, and they want to know more and more, but they don't want to risk that jeopardizing that sense of wonder. They won't do that. Anything that comes up and says, well, yeah, this wasn't Bigfoot. It was actually a sleeping. It was a sleeping bear, or it was some hair samples that somebody left behind because they rubbed against a tree or whatever. They'll just kind of dismiss that. Say, no, I know, they're still out there. No, real curiosity would be looking at this as like, so everyone knows what Bigfoot is. A lot of people believe it's actually out there. What's going on with that phenomenon? What is it in us that makes us want to believe there is this large humanoid creature in the woods of the American Northwest? What's the truth behind all of it? And that is how I see curiosity and skepticism sort of being the same thing. They're not exactly the same thing. Skepticism has some tenets that curiosity doesn't. Curiosity doesn't need to follow scientific rigor because it's actually not trying to prove anything to anyone. But it is certainly not a set of beliefs, and neither is skepticism. Skepticism isn't, here's what skeptics believe. Skepticism is a method. So, all that in the past, I have decided that my favorite part of skepticism and skeptic conferences was learning new things about existence. It was the curious parts. When I first went to the Amazing Meeting way back in 2003, or 2004 was my first one actually, the stuff that I liked the most was stuff like Richard Wiseman showing me how easily I could fool myself. Things like that. So I've created this new project called College of Curiosity, and it is dedicated to that. It is dedicated to generating a sense of awe and wonder in real things through a bunch of different media. For example, you yourself, Andrew, you have been on a College of Curiosity field trip.
I have.
You were on the tri-tour that we did, where we went to the Bahamas, through the Bermuda Triangle. Ooh. And we went to NASA and saw the Space Shuttle Endeavour.
Yeah, and that was on the first day too, and quite frankly, I could have gone home after that. But no, there was more.
It was a tough day to beat, I have to admit that. We actually stayed in the hotel that was built or run by the Mercury astronauts.
Yep.
And then we went to NASA and actually saw the space shuttle in the vehicle assembly building, which will never happen again. And then at the end, we went to Disney World, of all things. I went to Epcot and did a little bit of behind the scenes there. In order to do that tour, I did have to do a lot of research. I had to learn about the color go-away green, which is what they paint things that they don't want the people to see. If you walk around Epcot, there are these massive warehouse-looking buildings that you can see if you look for them, but you can't see them because they're this go-away green color that doesn't catch your attention. So, yes, I had to do a lot of research for that. But I try not to be, I can't be an expert on everything. I'm just trying to point out some things to generate curiosity in the attendees or the people I'm traveling with so that they can learn more if they want to. But so this is what I'm doing now. I've actually I've left my job. My gainful employment has now been left behind, and I am devoting myself full time to the College of Curiosity. And one of the things I'm hoping to do is to plan a trip in Australia, because I have never been.
That sounds like a fantastic idea.
I think that it's time that a bunch of skeptics and other curious folks got together, probably on a cruise, and spent some time together and talked about this amazing thing we have called life.
The Great Barrier Reef is a fantastic place for that.
Yes.
Of course. I've been to the Barrier Reef before. I was about 9 at the time, so I'd love to go back. And if you are organising one of these field trips down in Australia, I'll definitely do everything I can to be there. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Skeptic Zone listeners would be very interested in that as well.
Yeah, and so the way these trips work is, if you've ever been on a cruise or any kind of group travel, there's some standard stuff. You go together, okay. You eat together. The way I organize it is that we have a group of tables in the dining room. We can switch every night. So if there happen to be celebrities with us, which happens sometimes, they sit at the same table every night, and then the people rotate through. But every night there's something interesting going on the table. You don't just get there. There will be something on the table. There might be a gadget that you have to figure out. There might be cards. There might be a puzzle. There will be something on the tables every night. You always have this sense of, novelty, here's something new. But not only that, not everyone's comfortable eating dinner with people that they don't know. And this gives a frame of reference that people can talk about. It's very easy to say, well, I figured out that my illusion is a mouse inside a cat. What's yours? And that is enough to open up conversation. And every time I do this, I go around to every table during dinner and make sure everything is going okay. And I often find that I'm interrupting conversations between total strangers who are completely fascinated by this puzzle that they can't solve. We have a lot of fun on these trips. And if you think that you would like to travel with a group of curious people, I will try to present opportunities for you for that.
Yeah, and I can personally vouch for how fantastic one of these trips can be. Because that honestly, going to the Kennedy Space Center and into the vehicle assembly building and standing no more than a few meters away from the nose cone of the space shuttle, that quite honestly was one of the highlights of my life.
It was amazing.
It's something I'll never get to do again, and I got to do it thanks to Jeff Wagg and the College of Curiosity.
I love this stuff, and I love how I can stay true to my skeptical roots and continue to do this. And I can expand my audience a bit, because the word skeptic, sadly, is a barrier for a lot of people. It's a word that has a whole bunch of different meanings and connotations. It scares some people off. I don't have to use that word. I can use the word curiosity. And to me, it's actually the same thing. But to everybody else, it's a welcome and comforting word. It's like, yeah, I'm curious. Show me what this object is you have. Oh, that's neat. And even if they go off and use homeopathy and acupuncture later in that day, it's okay. For that one moment, they were in the realm of learning more about how reality works. And that's all I can really ask for.
Okay, so if people want to find out more, and what's it all about if not finding out more, where on the web can they go to find out about the College of Curiosity and the field trips and all of the other great things that you do?
Well, the interesting thing is when I give out business cards, I don't have any contact info on them. Because if you're a curious person and you know the organization is called the College of Curiosity, you might think that you would go to collegeofcuriosity.com, and hey, you'd be right. So yeah, if you go to collegeofcuriosity.com, you can find out most of what we do. The site's a little sparse right now. I'm a one-man operation. I am very, very busy right now. But the basic contact info is there. And, of course, anyone who knows me and who wants to contact me, I'm jeff@wag.com, the simplest email address in the world.
All right. Well, thanks for taking time out of your Saturday night to come and speak to us.
And thanks for talking to me early Sunday morning.
Well, I did get up for this, so...
Thank you, sir.
We'll talk to you soon, hopefully on some ship somewhere.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, this is Lauren Cochrane, President of Canberra Skeptics. Barcamp Canberra is back again for 2014. We welcome anyone interested in science communication, skepticism, maker or hacker culture, social innovation, Gov 2.0 or the web to come along. Be ready to participate. Anyone can give a talk during the 20-minute sessions. This year, Barcamp Canberra will be held at the Gungahlin Library on the 15th of March. As always, entry is free. Visit barcampcanberra.org. For more information about this and other Canberra Skeptics events, look for us on Facebook, Twitter, Meetup, or visit canberraskeptics.org.au.
Need some skeptic-y goodness that you can hand to someone who doesn't listen to podcasts? Or maybe you just need a good book of short skeptical snippets to put in your guest bathroom at home, or on the lobby table at work. It's true, we live in a modern dark age. Faith in pseudoscience is rampant, and belief in the supernatural permeates society at every level. Critical thinking is key to understanding what is truly useful and what merely distracts from progress and development. This book gives you the tools to sort the solid from the silly and answer such questions as, do military dolphins actually attack and kill divers? Who was Jack the Ripper? Can zombie powder actually turn you into a mindless slave? Was an amputee miraculously healed in the 1600s? What is truly known about Amelia Earhart's fate? Does scientific evidence prove the existence of the Yeti? Skeptoid 5, Massacres, Monsters, and Miracles by Brian Dunning. Get yours today from Amazon or skeptoid.com/books. Skeptoid 5, Massacres, Monsters, and Miracles.
Welcome to a week in science from RiAus, bringing you the science you need to know. Imagine advertising so good that it got inside your brain and found a buy button. Well, we can't do that yet, but as neuromarketing improves, people are afraid that advertising will get so good that it will control your mind. Up to 95% of the brain activity that happens when we make a decision happens at a subconscious level. That means that we can't control it and we're not even aware of it. Neuromarketing tries to tap into this brain activity to understand how we make decisions about what we buy. Let's say a company wants to test how effective their new TV ad will be, and they decide to use neuromarketing. They get a whole bunch of people, hook them up to an EEG machine to measure their brain's electrical activity, and then get them to watch the ad. The neuromarketers may also track the subject's eye movements and tiny changes in their facial expressions, or they could even be given an MRI. They then put all this information together to see whether the ad promotes positive or negative feelings, how engaged the customer was, and when they started to tune out. It's not surprising that people are a bit worried about where this could lead. Imagine a perfect ad which turns on your brain so much that it overrides the part of your brain that makes conscious decisions. This is what ethicists call our brain's buy button. It means that you start to lose control of your own decisions. But there's no need to freak out because we don't have the knowledge to do this yet, and lots of researchers are sceptical about there even being a buy button because our brains are incredibly good at adapting, meaning that our frontal cortex will always be able to override our subconscious. But it's still an area that needs to be closely monitored, and there are calls to put strict guidelines in place to protect consumers. You're listening to A Week in Science from RiAus, and now 4 fast facts about neuromarketing. When you make a decision, most of your brain activity happens in the frontal cortex, which is also the part of the brain that helps us to learn from past experiences. Our brains account for just 2% of our body mass, but uses 20% of our energy. Your subconscious can process information 200,000 times faster than conscious thought. And lots of big companies already use neuromarketing. Volvo, for instance, recently released a video on YouTube where they used EEGs to test how customers responded emotionally to their new car design. That's it for this week in science. For more information about neuromarketing, go to the RiAus website, riaus.org.au. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. I'm Kieran Groom, and we'll catch you next week.
Here's Penny Chan with a penny for your thoughts.
Oh, folks, that music you haven't heard in such a long time, that wonderful Penny for Your Thoughts music. And in Sydney, my goodness me, Penny Chan. Hello.
Hi, Richard.
Hi. Wow, wonderful to see you in Sydney. It's incredible. Here you are in person.
I'm so happy to be here finally.
This is your first visit to Australia,
Yes,
isn't
it is.
So I'll have to ask the question they always ask, what do you think of Australia?
I like it a lot. I mean, I didn't think I would not like it, but I mean, I could stay here for quite a while, I think.
It's a bit humid, though.
But it's better than the dry, cold wind that's blowing through LA right now.
Oh. Now, you're here not for long, unfortunately. And in fact, you're only in Sydney for a very brief amount of time, but you are going to see a bit more of the country.
Yeah, and yesterday I had a really fantastic walk along the coast walk in Royal National Park.
Oh, lovely.
That was really,
beautiful.
really, really gorgeous.
Did you see any wildlife?
Actually, that's interesting.
Not humans, not included.
No, the group I was with, I was put at the front of the group. I'm on Critter Watch because I wanted to see kangaroos and anything that was, that would come across our path. So, right at the start of the walk, I was looking down at the ground, and my friend Eva says, "Oh, look, a kangaroo!" And I looked up just as to see a kangaroo tail disappear into the bush. So I'm like, oh, I saw a kangaroo tail. That was great. But further along, we saw a little snake. What was it called?
Eastern brown.
It was an eastern brown.
Ooh. I thought you were about to say it was called Harry or something.
No, yes, we did call it Harry. No, I think we called it Bob. Yeah.
Well, at least you've seen a little bit, but you're going further afield in the next few days, I think.
Central Coast.
Oh, the Central
Yes.
Coast. I used to live on the Central Coast, lovely part of the world. I think you'll enjoy that immensely. Now, you been busy, of course, doing your studies.
Yes, that's the reason for the lack of more frequent reports.
Oh, we're not judging you too harshly, Penny. It's all right.
you.
We do like the Penny for Your Thoughts reports when they came. But you went to the last Skeptic Owl, and that's something I've been dying to go to for a while now. And there's one next year, I think. Or
Yeah.
This year.
This one coming up. I guess they're usually at the end of May or beginning of June. Or middle. I think the last one's actually middle of June.
And that's in...
It's in Berkeley.
Berkeley, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's that all about? Is that 1 day or 2 days?
It's just... in the past, it's always, I think, been 1 day.
Yeah.
And it goes from like 9 in the morning till late afternoon. And it's, it's set up a lot like TAM. There's big keynote speech followed by a few major, one-room lectures, and then there's the breakout sessions.
Oh, wow.
And it's really...
It's like a mini convention.
It is. And what I liked about this last year, I don't know if this happened in years previous, but like during lunch, there's a big group lunch in the restaurant there at it's at the Doubletree Hotel in Berkeley. There's I think they call it Science on the Street. There's like a troops of science teachers who go out and do science in public. They have these fabulous giant bubble wands on the lawn of the hotel, and so with the wind blowing off the bay, you just hold the wand out in front of you and blow these giant, car-sized bubbles. So,
I think every skeptics convention should have giant bubbles.
I agree, because everybody who lines up to do it instantly turns into a 4-year-old and like, bubbles!
Now, I think your dad's involved with Skeptic Owl, isn't he?
Yeah, at least he has been. I think he still is. I better ask him.
Better ask him. In fact, I'm going to put you on the spot, Penny, and when you go back home, I'd love you to do an interview with your dad, who's a very famous man, of course. Yeah,
yeah, I'd love to. I don't think I've ever interviewed him before. He's been on the Skeptic Zone.
Yes, he has.
Before,
yes, but
I think I've never interviewed him
for you to interview your dad, I think would be terrific.
I will.
Well, it's great to see you. It's a pity. I'd like to keep you here in Sydney for another week, so you can meet all the Skeptic Zone gang here in Sydney. Haven't got time this time around.
Not this time.
But I can tell that this won't be your last visit.
No, I hope not. I hope to come back many times.
Many times and see Sydney in the snow.
Yes, I'm sure Sydney is lovely in winter.
It doesn't snow in Sydney.
It's a winter wonderland. I can't wait to see it.
The sleighs down George Street and the snowman fights in the middle of Martin Place. That's right. Penny, with a penny for your thoughts, and we do look forward to more interviews from you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Richard.
Hallo aan alle Nederlandse luisteraars. Op dit moment bent u aan het luisteren naar de Skeptic Zone. Voor wetenschap en kritisch nadenken. Voor meer informatie ga naar www.skepticzone.tv.
Join us now for Drinking Skeptically in the Think Tank.
Minor birds.
Wow, they're noisy, aren't they?
Well, they're actually called noisy miners. So
That's what I like about the Think Tank, folks. We get a lesson from that well-known bird spotter, Dr. Rachie Dunlop. Hello, Dr. Rachie.
Hello. I'm twitching as we speak.
You're a twitcher now.
No, I'm not a twitcher.
Well,
no.
Looking for a is that a new social media thing?
This is
No, it's a bird watcher.
Anybody who follows Dr. Rachie on Facebook will be noticing all the wonderful pictures of birds she's been posting up lately.
Yeah, but I went to a twitching park on the weekend and there's no way I'm a twitcher yet.
All right.
I've got a little bit of work to do.
But you need like a funny hat
and you need to camouflage yourself.
Oh.
Yeah.
And nomming the last part of her pizza, it's Joanne Benhamu. Hello, Jo.
Hi, Richard.
And Marcos Benhamu as well. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Nice of you to join us.
Thanks for having me.
It's your house.
This is true. Well, yeah, you're welcome. Well, thank you. I'll make myself at home then.
And a familiar voice, it's Stefan Sojka.
Oh, it's lovely to be here for a change.
Yeah,
almost never make a tank, but I'm
here. You're here.
I only just got here. Got lost on the way here, but here I am.
But here you are. And joining us all the way from Melbourne, it's the Australian Skeptics, amongst other things, UFO specialist, Dr. Steve Roberts.
Good evening. I've blown in from Melbourne for the week, and
here you are.
Good to see you all and be here. So,
good for you to join us. Now, you and I had the distinct pleasure, if I can put it that way. Last night we viewed the first episode of a new series in the States called the $10 million Bigfoot Bounty. I'll just discuss this very briefly. They get there's 8 teams of 2 people or something like that. They send them off into the wilds of Washington and California, and they say, bring back evidence of Bigfoot, and if you don't, you get kicked off the show.
Oh, really?
And guess what? None of them have brought back any evidence of Bigfoot.
Surprise.
Finally, they're using the reality TV show genre to good use, though.
It is. So those people in the States, it's worth a look for a giggle. But honestly, asking people to go out and they have to bring back evidence of Bigfoot, it's like...
What's the name of the show that?
$10 million Bigfoot Bounty. It's like they're $10 million is quite safe.
They have to bring back some DNA, a sample that they can get DNA from, and a photograph or some kind of evidence. But a DNA sample is the...
I can imagine a few of them desperately pooing into their own hands.
I was thinking that. Yeah,
it's almost that bad. But I think the value, the comedy in the show comes from the contestants. I'm going to find me a Bigfoot.
So it's meant to be funny. It's not meant to be.
I think they're somewhat less evolved than Bigfoot.
It's not. It's meant to be serious.
Yeah, well, as serious as these things can be. Let's move on to more pressing.
I was just going to say, probably the DNA of the contestants could be quite close to Bigfoot.
Yeah, I think you might be right. You're onto something, Stefan.
Throwback stuff there. Yeah.
Let's talk about more pressing, in more than one ways, a more pressing issue. What have these chiropractors been up to, Dr. Rachie and Jo, not complying? What's all that about?
we played whack-a-mole with the anti-vaxxers for a while, and they haven't come back up recently, so we've got a bit bored, so we decided to have a look into chiropractic. And I have to say, before I was made privy to some of the information that's come out recently, I probably, like most people, presumed that these guys were quite standard, mainstream, first healthcare practitioners. Chiropractors, yeah.
That's how I grew up thinking.
That just sort of gave you a nice back massage and that was fine. But I've learned quite a lot about it in the last year, and it seems to me that, in fact, I would go so far as to say that some of them function like a cult. Like it's really full on and scary.
Yeah.
Not only are they, I mean, the reason we started looking at their practices in detail was because many of them are anti-vaccination. Now, not all of them, but many of them. And once you start digging, you come across all these other crazy stuff that they believe. And, of course, most of us here would know that they also make claims outside their areas of expertise. So they claim that they can help with ear infections, bedwetting.
Colic is a famous
colic.
one.
It's got become more extreme than that, though. We used to, as you just said, we used to hear them talk a lot about things like ear infections and colic, but now we hear their claims extending to autism. And
that's extreme, isn't it?
It is extreme. They sort of seem to manipulate the language they use to describe what they do to encompass broader and broader fields. So they now have something called chiropractic neurology. They make all sorts of claims around the functioning of the nervous system and the brain and so on. This term was coined by an Australian chiropractor, something called retained neonatal reflexes. Now, neonatal reflexes are primitive reflexes that we're all born with, and
is this like when the babies take a breath if they're ducked underwater? This sort of
kind of, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's things like the Babinski reflex and so on. They're basically reflexes that you'll see, like the startle reflex, where you pick up a child and it sort of will react in a certain way. And as we go through certain stages of development, we lose those reflexes. So the theory that these chiropractors are kind of working with is the idea that if you retain any of these reflexes, then that correlates with certain syndromes, illnesses, and so on. So if your child is diagnosed as being, having attention deficit disorder or has behavioural difficulties, then there are certain retained neonatal reflexes that are causing this problem. And then they've got all these interventions to treat that. Now, it's hogwash. There is no evidence to support this, but they make all of these claims, and to the unsuspecting parent, it looks quite legitimate.
This is it sounds to me like a classic case of inventing a problem then selling you the cure.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, I mean, I was surprised to know this, that in fact, if you and I have to say to begin with that there are chiropractors out there that are good and they are genuinely trying to help people, and they don't work outside their area of expertise. But unfortunately, the bad apples ruin the barrel, as you know. It turns out that a lot of what they do is just a business model. No. So even if you just did a cursory Google search, you could find on YouTube lots and lots of videos of how to increase your business. And this is why, in my opinion, they're outreaching to paediatrics and stuff like that, because they're like, well, if we can get you in early, then we can keep having you as a patient. And the thing with chiros is you'll find that you rarely go and they'll turn you away and say there's nothing wrong with you, you don't need to come back.
Right.
It's usually, well, you have to come back once a week for the next 3 months.
Forever.
Yeah, forever. And, if I went to a GP and they said that to me, I'd be thinking, well, hang on a second.
Can't you fix it?
You can't be very good at your job if you want me to come back. But they explain that away by saying, oh, well, it's well-being. So it's like
maintenance.
It's maintenance, right, yeah. But they have been criticised quite heavily recently by the skeptics. And this is
those evil skeptics.
Those evil skeptics. It's a bunch of people, one of whom goes by the name of Reasonable Hank, who has written now 50 blog posts.
Yeah, he's great.
Eviscerating individual chiros claims, particularly with a focus on their anti-vaccination claims. And this has resulted in a bit of a backlash from the chiros themselves. In particular, recently there was a editorial written in the Chiropractic Journal of Australia, which I guess is supposed to be their research journal, by Philip Ebrell, who is He's the head of school at the Central Queensland University School of Chiropractic. Now, they also have a foundation, which is called the Australian Spinal Research Foundation. And so people donate to this, and of course the money's meant to go to research, as the name would suggest. And one of their own chiros, in fact, did, I would say it's a cursory investigation. It didn't require forensic accounting, and found that they were spending between 3 and 6% of that money on actual research. And where was the rest going, Joe?
The racetrack?
I can't remember exactly where it was going.
Well, they have.
The percentage that they were spending on actual research was just laughable.
Yeah, and they have these conferences that are almost akin to like a Hillsong type gathering where it's it's a rock concert kind of thing.
They pat each other on the back and tell each other how wonderful they are, and how they are privileged to have the access to the gift of chiropractic.
This is why we say cultish. It's cultish. So, because they've come under such pressure lately, they wrote this, this editorial, which is kind of trying to dismiss all this criticism by saying, well, the good news is that we've never been in a better place because people vote with their feet, and we're getting all these people coming to our practices, and lots of people believe in fairies and ghosts too. That doesn't make them good or real. But so they referred to this guy, Philip Ibril referred to this chiropractor who wrote the expose on their alleged apparent misuse of funding by saying it was a completely incorrect and poorly written expose of the ASRF, and then had a personal attack on the chiro involved. Wow. Now, they also have come under a lot of fire for their behaviour on social media, in particular Facebook and Twitter. He also gives a shout-out to Friends of Science in Medicine, of which we are familiar with their work.
We are, yes. What a fine organisation they are, too.
He says, well, he doesn't agree with you, Richard.
Oh. Yeah.
He says any further rubbish from FSM will be seen by government and its agencies as a twisted, myopic minority view from the skeptics. It will be disregarded with the contempt it deserves. Spit.
Do you guys know whatever little percent they use of the money they used in research? Do you guys have an idea of what this researched entailed?
Interestingly, chiropractic research is quite hard to come by because it's actually published not. Some of it is published and accessible through, your typical, you'll find it on PubMed,
or Google Scholar,
and so on. But a lot of it is published in basically chiro sort of repositories of knowledge, which doesn't see the light of day.
Well, they're not even journals. They're what was it in? Not Scopus, it was found on.
I can't remember.
But someone found it in some suppository of wisdom. I will use that phrase this time because I think it's suitable.
That's right.
But the other thing, so with respect to their behaviour on social media, this is, by the way, the editorial of their research journal, which is like their flagship journal. He says, this demands that you cut the crap from your website and do it now. This writer has, and the freedom is staggering. Do not put yourself in any position where you will be taunted to respond, because any response, no matter how rational, will be debunked and twisted. Oh dear. It hurts because the purpose is to entice you to say that one more phrase that will hang you. Close down Facebook and Twitter, get away from LinkedIn and Google circles, and live. How about talking face-to-face to your family?
I think what's so disturbing about it is that, first of all, this is an editorial in what is supposed to be a professional journal.
Exactly.
I cannot imagine ever reading something like this in a
professional journal. No.
And second of all, the fact is that basically what they're saying is shut everything down because we don't want to be questioned.
Yeah,
don't let anyone see what we're... I mean, the thing is, you can see... You can say... the board can tell them to pull the anti-vax stuff from their websites and from Facebook, but you can go into their practices and you might still find material there. Who's policing what is going on?
It's a bit of a eat my cake and have it too. I mean, they don't want to do the hard work that's involved in research, and at the same time, they don't want to be questioned about it. They don't want to, as you said. So what's their standard?
If chiropractic wants to be afforded the same status as other health professions,
And they do.
Yeah, and technically they are being afforded the same status by being put under the APRA umbrella with doctors and nurses and psychologists and so on, then the expectations of what they will put out there in terms of the claims they make, their professional behaviour, and having to provide the same information about, for example, adverse events and so on as we do, should be expected. And that's not what they're doing.
This is the sort of people who always say we demand equal playing field, right?
But we don't want to play by the rules.
We don't want to play by the rules.
That's basically what they're saying. And I should make the distinction here that we're referring specifically, in this case, to chiros that are part of the Chiropractic Association of Australia. There are two professional bodies in Australia. The other one is COCA, the College of Chiropractic and Osteopathic. And they are very pro-vaccination. They have official position statements on their website. They are much more evidence-based in their approach. But unfortunately, the majority of chiros don't belong to COCA. They belong to the CAA, and the empty vessels make the loudest noise. So the ones that are carrying on like this in a completely unprofessional manner are the CAA, and they're the ones that, you know...
Well, they're saying that they're not really... They don't want to be of the world. They don't want to have a dialogue. They won't put stuff on their web pages. They will withdraw into their shells rather than have a dialogue. And if progress is to be made, recognition is to be gained, you know, it's through open dialogue and defending theories.
Open dialogue brings them criticism.
I speak from personal experience. Actually, you were mentioning before about how they were branching out in different disciplines. Well, I actually went to see a chiropractic plumber the other day. And interestingly, it was quite successful because he cracked my neck and I wet myself.
Boom tish. Thank you, Stefan Sojka.
We have missed you, Stefan.
Oh, dearie me.
It's a true story.
Now,
But hey, chiropractic vets.
That's right.
No, truly.
That's right.
Yeah, truly there are.
Can you imagine chiropractic trying to adjust a horse's neck?
or a snake.
What did we see the other day? We saw a dog being adjusted. Was there a turtle?
A turtle?
There's a guy who does turtles.
I think that's one of the CAA. In fact, I think that's quite a senior.
Isn't he on the board?
I think so.
Yeah,
Good
he's on the board of the CAA.
How do you get into the bones of the damn thing?
Well, we don't know.
That's a stupid question.
But Marcos, the other thing you can see on YouTube is a clip where the chiro is apparently adjusting the baby by adjusting the father. So the parent is lying on the bed, the baby's on top of the parent. He's adjusting the parent, and that's somehow
what?
Vicarious chiropractic.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This reminds me of the first time I saw ear candling.
Yeah, you know.
And I looked and I thought, no.
There's a horrible video on YouTube which I think has now been taken down, but I think someone might have actually gotten hold of it. And it's a chiropractor performing a neck manipulation on a woman and demonstrating with great delight how she actually loses consciousness after the manipulation.
I've seen
And the
it.
chiropractor thinks this is absolutely wonderful. And everyone I know, I was talking to, some doctors, anaesthetists, so on, who looked at this, and everyone just felt sick because they think it's absolutely fine for you to feel a bit dizzy and a little bit funny afterwards. That is not okay.
Wow.
These are not acceptable consequences of
that sort of
doing
thing.
this.
But if they work, can they work on exoskeletons as well? Because they could get into pest control. You just give a little,
Speaking of exoskeletons, this is a true story. Just before Steve and I came here today, we were visiting Barry Williams, who's a long-time skeptic, to catch up and say hello. And his daughter came and said, "Oh, there's a big grasshopper in my room on the ceiling. Can you get it? Can you please someone get it?" I said, "Me, yes, of course." Step aside. Here we go. I picked up this grasshopper. It turned around and bit into my thumb and drew blood. I got such a shock. Anyway,
I didn't know.
Yeah, big.
They bite, eh?
They bite. Speaking of biting, Rachie, what's this meet in the park all about? Tell us about meet in the park.
That's a pretty good segue, actually.
That's a good segue. There you go.
Meet in a park. Well, it's unlike what it sounds, which is possibly a dating app or something. It is a website that I came across on the weekend, and the reason I mention it, I should give you some context,
Yeah.
is because the guy who developed it is a regular listener to the show.
Wow.
So, shout out. It's a website where you can find barbecues in Australia, in your area, and it's run, it works via GPS, so it finds your location and then it tells you where the nearest barbecues are in the area. And I guess this is quite pertinent given that it's Australia Day this Monday.
Yes.
Public holiday, so everyone will be out probably looking to barbecue a snag or two.
Yeah.
It's spelled MEAT, Meat in a Park.
Meat in a Park, right?
Meat in a Park.
Yep.
I think .com.au. And it's good. I tried it on Sunday. I was in Melbourne and I was down in Point Cook actually, and the barbecues were all full and I had 4 sausages. And I was very disappointed. So we just put it in our location and it popped up with 3 nearest barbecues.
What a good idea.
Meat in the park.
Meat in the Park.
So actually what happened was I tweeted it and then the guy who developed it got back to me within like a minute on Twitter and said, I made that app. And I listened to the show.
If you just had that and Grindr running, you could have a time of your life in the public toilets of the park.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I asked him if he could develop it so you could check into the Barbie, so people could see if it's occupied. And I asked him if you could rate the Barbie as well.
Yeah.
So you should suggest to him that, you know.
Actually, that sounds like you've been consulting. Is he paying you consultancy fees? You're actually improving his product there.
No, but wouldn't that be useful? You could rate the Barbie.
I was actually thinking that app wouldn't fly in my native country, in Peru.
Why?
Because parks are where you go to make a love. I kid you not. I was long time ago. I was making out with a girlfriend. There was no one before you. Just I was making out on a street.
On the barbecue.
No, on a street. On a street. Kid walked past. Said, "Go to the park." Not get a room. Go to the park. Go even more public than you are now. So
that's a different meat in the park.
It is.
Meet in the park to meet in the park.
Now let's, with that funny segue, we can move on to what's this, Joe? You might be able to fill us in a little bit, and Rach, on the federal government review on natural health.
Yeah, well, we've talked about this on the show before, I think, but a number of, was it 2012? The government announced an investigation into homeopathy, based on actually following on from what the UK did with their evidence check through the House of Commons. And then following on from that, they actually decided they would do an investigation into all natural therapies. They were looking for ways to cut costs, actually. So they were looking to cut the government rebate for people that see natural therapists. So it's a little bit complicated, but the way it works in Australia is if you have private health cover, private health insurance, you can get a rebate back from the government on any sort of services that they provide. And sadly, in my opinion, private health insurance in this country covers things like acupuncture, chiropractic, naturopathy, aromatherapy.
Lots of stuff.
A lot of woo-woo, which unfortunately you can't opt out of in many cases. And if you do opt out, it costs you more for insurance.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It costs you more. So this was costing the government around $30 million a year in rebates for unproven therapies, and they were looking for ways to cut costs anywhere they could. So they got the Chief Scientist of Australia to initiate an investigation into evidence check for these natural therapies, with the idea of then stopping rebating them if they didn't have any evidence, which of course we were absolutely thrilled by.
Yeah.
But Joe has some news on how that's progressing.
Yeah, well, we were actually looking forward to hearing a resolution this month, but unfortunately we've just found out that the government has decided to delay the implementation date until the 1st of April 2015.
What?
So nothing's going to be happening for a while now.
2015 sounds like a long way away.
It does, doesn't it?
And the 1st of April too.
Well, the Department of Health, basically they say that the revised date will allow the Department of Health, in consultation with the NHMRC, that's the National Health and Medical Research Council, to complete a full evidence-based review process in consultation with industry. Now, on the one hand, that sounds great. They're going to be looking at all the evidence. They're going to be reviewing everything. But I suspect that that's actually not what's going to happen. I suspect it's probably going to be more along the lines of... I think probably the way this is going to end up going is that they're going to end up looking at things from a harm point of view. So if these things are unlikely to cause harm, then they're not going to be...
But they could also go on focus groups and anecdotes as well.
Yeah,
and say,
absolutely.
oh, look, the customers are happy.
And this is why I'm worried about them saying they're consulting with industry.
Yes.
That's right.
Because some people in that industry are very powerful lobbyists and have a
huge
lot
lobby
of
groups.
money
Yeah.
and also are friends with the Prime Minister.
So, and I mean, the thing is that, don't forget, this doesn't include all natural therapies. It includes a lot of them, a lot of things you'll think of. I mean, they're looking at a lot of stuff. But chiropractic and traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture are not, because they fall under APRA as the registered health profession, so they are not actually up for review.
Well, there you go.
And now when they actually presented for this, Professor John Dwyer, who's the president of Friends of Science in Medicine, presented to them, and sadly Friends of Science in Medicine was the only science-based submission. All the other presentations were from these various professions with interests in, of course, maintaining it. So
I see.
Yes.
1st of April 2015, eh?
it just annoys me because it annoyed me the first time because they said they were going to do a literature review of the literature for homeopathy less than 12 months after the UK government had just done exactly that.
And basically said that
there's no evidence that
it's panned it.
Don't conduct any further research into it.
Yeah, and so why are they reinventing the wheel? I mean, it's not like it's a localised thing. It's scientific research is international. It exists everywhere.
We've discovered that homeopathy works in Australia.
Well, wouldn't that be interesting?
The toilets go the other way around.
So they're wasting a huge amount of money, which is the point of this review, is to reduce spending, and they're wasting all this money reinventing the wheel, and they're dragging it out further and further, and by that they're going to chew up another $30 million, which is what they're trying to save by faffing around.
Well, one of the things, of course, that people can do to help bolster our side is attend various skeptic functions, one of them being Skeptic Camp.
Yes.
Now, Joe, you are going to this Skeptic Camp we're going to discuss.
I am going to Skeptic Camp.
Can you fill us in?
I think it's the 3rd Great Ocean Road Surf Coast Summer Skeptic Camp coming up on the 1st of February.
Yeah.
It's down at Aries Inlet, and you can find out more about it online. Just Google Surf Coast Great Ocean Road Skeptic Camp.
Surf Coast sounds good, doesn't it?
It's fabulous. Look, I have to say I've been to a number of different skeptic camps, and this one's my favourite because it's just a lovely weekend away and great company, interesting talks.
Oh, wow.
And
are you going, Dr. Steve?
Yeah, I poll along, so it's near where I live, so it's easy.
Yeah.
I spoke at the last one. So
okay.
Gave a spiel.
You giving a talk, Joe, I hope?
I am. I haven't decided what I will talk about yet, but yes, I will.
All right.
Well, the nice thing about Skeptic Camps is you can just turn up on the day, and if there's a slot available, you can just do a talk.
Yeah, we've had three in Sydney now, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Always a good day.
I think everyone's heard my bum talk, so I need new material.
Fish bums.
All right, now, last thing on our agenda today to talk about is the Society...
The Society for Science-Based Medicine.
Thank you, Society for Science-Based Medicine. Well, what can we say about that?
We can say a lot about that. So if listeners are familiar with the outstanding website Science-Based Medicine, then you'll be pleased to know that they've recently announced a new organisation called the Society for Science-Based Medicine. It's American-based, but with an international scope, and it's basically it's got very much the same aims as Friends of Science in Medicine. We consider them a sister organisation.
Cool.
The difference being that they are you can actually you pay to join the society. They've got some fantastic resources online. So they've got some very broad aims, and they are if you look at, for example, the is it the Bravewell Institute? They're basically the Bravewell Collaborative, I think it is. It's an organisation in America who are there to promote woo. So they're very involved with people like Andrew Gould, the naturopath. They get a lot of funding and a lot of money. And so the Society for Science-Based Medicine are aiming to try and put a similar organisation on the landscape to actually have a voice for science-based medicine. Because as we know, despite the fact that there's a huge amount of science in medicine, there's not a lot of voices loudly promoting it.
Mr. Turkey.
Goodness me, no!
So, I better explain. A giant white cockatoo has just landed on the veranda.
They come and visit all the time.
Really? Look at him.
He's about to poo on my basil.
I was actually quite a few. We used to have.
Shall I show you off?
We used to have a.
He's
used to have a felt welcome mat, whatever, outside, and once I actually caught them eating it.
They destroyed it.
Yes.
Sorry, Joe, we disrupted your.
That's all right. I think I'd lost my train of thought anyway. So really, yeah. So SSBM.
SFSBM.
Yes, sfsbm.org. Thank you.
Well, I'm actually a fellow for the Institute for Science and Medicine, and I'm actually in a book that is published through them, so please buy it. I didn't realise I was till recently. On vaccination. So they do have a broad reach. So if you go to their page, the Institute for Science and Medicine, you'll see who are the fellows. I'm one. Mick Vagg, who is an Australian pain specialist, is another. But Edzard Ernst, Paul Offit. So they have a very high calibre list of people that are involved in lobbying for them and providing expertise. So I think this is a great initiative to actually officially and, I guess, formally organise this focus into something like FSM. And they do give FSM credit for inspiring them to do this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, well, of course, I'll put a link in this week's show notes.
I know the wonderful Mark Crislip is hard at work keeping the website running and getting everything moving. So
excellent. That's good to know. Now, let me round off by saying something which is close to your heart, Stefan. The next Sydney Skeptics in the Pub will be on the 6th of February at the Crown Hotel, starting at 6 p.m. But you can order noms from 5:30 onwards, I've been told. And this coming one on the 6th of February, we're having somebody from Rotary. Due to your contacts.
Oh, you managed to get someone?
I don't have the name in front of me now, talking about the vaccination program.
Polio program?
Polio, yeah.
Excellent, and they need more publicity actually, because Rotary is like funding the polio vaccination campaign worldwide to the tune of about $350 million, and they got Bill Gates to match that.
Wow.
And so they're really behind the whole thing. But every time you hear about polio vaccination, somehow the PR department, that you never hear about Rotary. You hear about the World Health Organization, you hear about the Indian government, you hear about this, but you don't realise that Rotary is actually, they started it.
Yeah.
And actually a guy in my club was one of the guys who started it way back, because his wife actually died of polio, and he kicked in $250,000 to start the thing.
Wow.
And Rotary has this matching grant thing where they call Rotary Foundation, every bit of money you put in, they double it, and then Bill Gates doubles that kind of thing. And that's why it's happening so successfully. And I think in Pakistan or India. It's gone. They're polio
declared free.
Isn't that incredible?
And it's Rotary have been doing it, but through the Rotary network as well, but no one really knows about it. So it'll be good.
Last year I was at a meeting of Rotary, of course, where I gave an address.
Yep.
And I ended off my talk talking about the anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
And the crowd were just like, they're gobsmacked.
Yeah.
They didn't know how bad the situation was with these people fighting what Rotary are doing.
That's right. And soon after that is when you start to hear about those people getting killed.
In Pakistan.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Another one of our friends, Ken McLeod, who's heavily involved in Stop the AVN, he is also a member of a Rotary Club where he lives, and he is also raising money for polio vaccination.
He's a Paul Harris Fellow, I think. It's the highest award in Rotary. It's
not the highest because I've got one.
Really?
With a sapphire pin, but that's only because I'm a good bullshit artist.
Don't worry, no one listens to the podcast. That's fine.
So there's the word. Sydney people, please come to Skeptics in the Pub and order lots of noms and drink lots of drinks. And yes, Joe.
I was just going to say, great news for people who are planning on coming to Sydney in November. We'll be hosting the 30th Skeptics Convention in Sydney this year. It's on November the 28th to the 30th, and we have some fabulous international guests.
We do.
The entire SGU crew, Steve, Jay and Bob Novella, Evan Bernstein and Rebecca Watson, as well as George.
Hurrah!
And we're putting together a fantastic lineup of speakers for the convention this year, so keep an eye out.
Yep.
And
it's very exciting, and a big lineup of local stars too, but we're working on it at the moment.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be really great.
And you can keep up with what's going on Twitter or our Facebook page, and also in the Skeptic magazine.
Yep.
To just, if you're not a subscriber, please look at doing so, because it helps us do our good work.
It does, it does. It's a great magazine, but when you subscribe to the Skeptic magazine from Australia, you actually are, in a very real way, helping us do what we do. Absolutely, to be sure. So if www.skeptics.com.au is the address.
Just $22 for a PDF online subscription, or hard copy for $44.
That's like 2 pizzas.
Yeah,
it is.
Which we just ate.
Looking forward to seeing everybody at Skeptic in the Pub. Looking forward to seeing everybody at the convention later this year in November. We've all been enjoying over the last weeks and weeks Maynard's wonderful interviews from the last convention. They just keep coming.
He did a lot of them.
He did. Well, thanks everybody for coming along to Joe's house and Martha's house. Thank you two for having us. Thank you, Stefan, for making it along.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Dr. Steve Roberts.
Yeah, thanks.
And Dr. Rachie, thank you again. And with the cockatoos nibbling your greenery.
No turkeys.
We say cheers from the think tank.
Cheers.
Hey.
That was a real. I think there he is. He's flying in through the trees.
Hi, this is Brian Dunning from the Skeptoid podcast at skeptoid.com. For 15 years now, Dr. Bob's Trivia Quiz has been a part of Australian skeptics. Each month, the mysterious Dr. Bob comes up with questions that defy all logic and reason. Only the best of the best dare attempt to answer these brain twisters, and no, Google won't help you. Visit drbobsquiz.wordpress.com, that's DRBOBS quiz.wordpress.com, to take part and to see the complete archive of Dr. Bob's Trivia Quiz. I'm Brian Dunning from Skeptoid.com.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone, and thank you again to all those people, those wonderful people who subscribe less than $1 a week, and you can do that by going to www.skepticzone.tv. It all really does help me produce the Skeptic Zone. I can buy equipment, I can cover the cost of housing the zone, covers my time in putting it all together. We can occasionally do things like get our reporters out and about, like good old Maynard, and more reports from Maynard next week. All very much gratefully appreciated. And in the next little while, I hope to travel down to Canberra, in fact, to do a bit more filming on the documentary The Vaccination Chronicles, which is taking a very long time, I admit. It's taking a lot longer than I thought, but I think other filmmakers have this problem too. The Vaccination Chronicles will be a look at people's stories, people's remembering what it was like in the time before widespread vaccination, and some more information. I'm having a lot of fun putting it together, but it is taking an awful lot of time. Still, all good things come to those who wait, I hope. Coming up soon on the Skeptic Zone, we're going to be speaking to Australian Skeptics UFO specialist Dr. Steve Roberts about how to examine and study and look at UFO reports and photographs. That should be pretty interesting. And if you have a skeptical group, a local skeptical group, or you're planning something, or you have a Skeptics in the Pub, let me know. Let me know. I'd be happy to tell the whole world about it. Drop me a line. You can see my email link at skepticzone.tv, and I'd be very happy to do that. But until next week, this is Richard Saunders and Fred the Cat, who's now lying in the sun because he's had his breakfast, signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.